Hello everyone and welcome to our show. Today we discuss about energy, how you can increase your energy, how you can get a lot more. I am excited to discuss this topic with Nathan. How are you?
Very good. Very good.
A big pleasure to get on my show to learn a lot more about your experience, how you can help. Because I often get this feeling that I'm tired, exhausted, so I need to stop. But I think it's mindset. You can play with that, and I want to know how to improve my productivity. Before we start, just tell more about your self-experience background and why you decided to take this topic.
That's right. So my name's Nathan, and I work in a company called Dream Leader Institute, and we develop teams, we develop individuals, leaders as well. Why? Because all around, no matter where we are, we see people who don't like their work, or they feel often either tired all the time, or maybe burned out, or they're always looking for a weekend to have rest, but it doesn't ever feel like it's enough, right? You often feel like you need a really long vacation, and not the kind where you can go do just, the fun activities, but just a break, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people are quitting their jobs as well because when they go to work, they often feel sluggish, or they just feel disengaged. They just are not sure that, you know, what difference is it making? So I chose the topic of energy because it is one that, even though people don't necessarily think about energy, it is something that affects all of us for sure.
Mhm. Okay, I have the first question. Can you tell the best? Of course, I know the best doesn't exist, but people can ask, what is the best resource of energy?
What is the best source of energy? All right.
Yes.
So the best source of energy and it's going to be, there's general, but there is specific as well, right? So in general, it is going to be those things that you do feel the most confident doing, the most passionate doing, the most joyful in doing, even even if you feel like it takes some hard work to do it, right? It still brings you energy, right? So if you think
Hmm.
about, we can use a few examples. The best way to talk about energy is through examples, right? So for instance, you take an artist, right? Maybe a musician, right? What brings them energy is when they get on that stage and they can perform a great piece of music, right? But they still have to practice to be able to get on that stage, right? So it takes energy, and yet it brings most energy as well because they're doing something that they believe in. And you can take this in any case, someone who is on a sports team, right? What brings them energy? Getting the goal, right? But you can't get the goal unless you can actually train yourself to actually get the goal. What about a chef, right? A chef, he needs to know all the ingredients, he needs to know all the techniques to be able to make a masterpiece meal, right? But you have to be able to train to do that. So in any case, the goal is to find that part that is natural to who you are. So the musician, the artist, these are of course the obvious ones, but even if they're not as obvious, there are strengths that come naturally to us, strengths that we are easy to good at. I mean, so like being a good communicator, or someone who is a good encourager, someone who is great at details. As long as they find a position that they are working in that does utilize what they're naturally good at, then it can bring them energy. It can bring them,
Hmm.
even through the times that feel slower, because you have to connect what you're doing each and every day to what you are naturally gifted in. So that's a
Hmm.
strengths and gifts are a different topic, but that is how we get the most energy, is by doing those things that are instinctual to us, because everybody has a genius to them. It just, the world doesn't often look at us that way, but we have to kind of get past what the world says, and they only celebrate certain people, right? And they only celebrate certain things, and realize that each of us are uniquely gifted in a specific way. And of course, the world doesn't necessarily reward each similarly, but we do have to do those things that are natural to us.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned about to consider that to be yourself. Yeah, being yourself. And for example, if you are good with something, why you need to change your strong side to chase some metrics that possible are not good with you. For example, if you are an introvert, why you need to be extrovert or trying to be extrovert?
That's right.
Bill Gates, Elon Musk, they are introverts, but you can see they got awesome results. I think, yeah, it's the best thing what you can do to be yourself and yeah, increase strong sides. Can you tell more about, for example, introverts? Can they how to be or I don't know, like how to become your leadership journey if you are introvert, if you are a shy boy or girl, if you don't know how to communicate with others, but to overcome these fears to go ahead.
So, an introverted leader, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Is it possible that you touch microphone because I can see some sound?
Is the sound not coming through?
Yeah, I can hear some sound. I don't know. It's like with microphone.
I don't know. Maybe it's my
Oh,
connection too. It should be
okay.
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 So, in any case, okay, even a leader, a leader who is introverted, this is why we train people on even how to be themselves, because oftentimes we feel like we have to compensate for things that we're not good at. So, for instance, if a leader feels like to be a good leader, they need to be extroverted, right? Or they need to be a good communicator, and maybe that's not either one of their gift sets, their strengths. Okay. Well, if he feels like that is the expectation or view of good leadership, they will try and be something that they're not, right? And we see plenty of times that doesn't go well. You know, an introvert that tries constantly to be extroverted is going to get tired really fast and all the time too. And tiredness the energy is like pathways to be on. If you're on a tired pathway, you're always going to be tired, and that's where you're more likely to act out on really strong emotions. So when you're tired, it's easier to act out when you're angry and you yell at someone, and then false expectations do that to us too. So if you're trying to be a good communicator and you're not, then you're still going to keep kind of you're going to try and, keep hitting it over and over and continuing to getting it wrong. And what does that do? That just brings discouragement, and it brings, a sense of, for the team itself, they can see that you're continually failing at something you're not good at. So it means that you actually need to draw in other strengths around you. That's what is so important about the leadership. More than anything else, the leader is supposed to be the coach, the encourager, the mentor, the facilitator, the navigator as well. And anybody can use whichever strength they need to be in a leadership position. But you have to know yourself well enough, because you need to know your boundaries. So if you are an introverted leader, you do need to find someone else who can get your message across. That is, the extroverted, maybe the high charisma, maybe, to just be the spokesman for you. But you have to be in a team with that kind of person as well. If you're not a good communicator, and that's something obviously any leader needs, you find someone who has that communication strength. Someone who is naturally gifted that way. That's probably why a lot of communicators end up on maybe in the news or on social media. You can find anyone from teenage years to someone who's older who has that gift, and you partner with that person too. But a leader
Mhm.
needs to know themselves well enough to be able to say, I don't have that communication gift, so I'm gonna utilize this person to help get this message across. So that way you're knowing that it's not all about you, it's about how the team is going to perform. And
Mhm.
that way ultimately the leader won't really have low energy, keep towards tired because they're trying to do something that they're not naturally gifted at. But you have to realize the leader needs to be secure in who he or she is, and not insecure, meaning, my gosh, the team is going to look at me and they're going to judge me and they're going to think I'm a bad leader because I'm not a communicator. You know what? People don't care about that actually if you actually do good teamwork and you do good navigating and facilitating. And actually, let's face it, those who own up who they are and who they are not is more easily respected than just pretending, right?
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, valuable. Uh, can you tell how do I know that something is wrong with my, I don't know, that I have? For example, I have my common things that I need to do every single day, some tasks. Of course, I can lose the energy during the day. How do I know that I can improve my efforts? I don't know, anything, to get more energy, to
Right.
work harder. Yeah, but more about that.
Okay, so the things that we said, I can't remember exactly when time management started. I mean, it was
Mhm.
decades ago. I do believe that it got really big in the 80s and 90s, time management, how to make sure you're, scheduling things right. But the newest way that we're coaching people in is an energy management. So when you look at your day, you want to track where you have the most energy and where you have the least energy. And depending on which task you are trying to accomplish, you follow along that kind of energy path. So some people, I have friends who get up at 5 in the morning, right? Like they wake up, they're just naturally, I am really good at that time period, and if that's the case, maybe at by 11 they have a slower period, because energy doesn't just maintain throughout the day. We all know that. It kind of just
Mhm.
ebbs and flows, right? And usually by the end of the day it starts going down because our bodies do recognize it's almost time to sleep. But it means that we need to track which activities we need to accomplish. So for instance, if you want to get healthy and you want to be working out more, say you want to go for a run every day, you should never choose the time of day where it's your lowest energy, because when you're at your lowest energy, that affects your decision making, right? When we're feeling tired, that's when we are least likely to make good decisions, right? So
Mhm.
you get to 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and that's when people start eating snacks, and right, because they're tired, and they're like, yeah. But that goes for anything. So that means when you're at high energy, it's better to schedule the decisions that you need to make for that period of time. So when you have low energy, you schedule the things that really are just more task oriented. You go into it. There's not many decisions you need to. You just need to fulfill the task, right?
Mhm.
So energy management is about looking at which activities do drain you and which activities do bring you energy, even if it takes energy to do them. So someone who is running, right, that takes energy, but there is a return on that. The return is I get energy as well, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
so
I have one interesting question. I think I don't know, but I think you have no experience with that. Let me tell why. My team is in Ukraine right now. We have so hard time in Ukraine, because of this Russian invasion, and
yeah,
yeah, they are living each day with possible things that can happen, because the Russian army can hit with all missiles that they have, or all these weapons. So but they keep working, they keep creating some results. And yeah, I understand that it's so hard for them to go ahead, but how they can get this energy when you're not sure about tomorrow, if you're not sure that Russian army can't occupy your city, surround and hit new missiles. It's really hard. I can understand because I was there for 2 days when all this happened. I decided to live with my family, but right now I keep communicating with my team because we didn't stop our business. We still earn money. So, can you tell how to help them to get this energy when we have such things to do?
Yes, and I realize that in a war context it's different, but some of the same elements still apply. When you're thinking about the decisions that need to be made, right? The way that you're going to be able to build up energy is sometimes doing the things that you feel are going to make you tired as well. So looking at your next decision, say you just want to make the decision, be done with it. And yet, what will bring energy is actually connecting with those that you're closest to, and that way you'll be able to help make your next decision. So even the decision to leave, right? Those that are deciding on whether they need to leave, it's best to connect with the community. It's best to connect with the people that you commonly talk to, rather than just saying, look, all these things are happening, I can't focus on that, and I need to just do what comes next. But talking with those that you're closest to, talking with those that you know are that it brings about different perspectives, and the different perspectives will and being in the conversation with other people will bring you energy, because shared conversation and shared experiences also brings us energy. Think about those that are okay. We'll take the extreme case, the soldiers, right? You're going to
Mhm.
have less energy fighting if you are by yourself trying to do your next task, and whatever military sense that looks like. But think about if you're just in a group of 3, 5, 6 guys or women who you're fighting with together. The shared energy actually brings more strength, more mental perseverance, determination, right? Because you're with others. And so
Mhm.
so that goes a long way as well. And so we can't ever dismiss the fact that shared experiences also is where it will bring energy, or will bring perspective, will bring good decisions. And
Mhm.
that's where you'll see some the decisions made individually that are not good. It was often made in isolation. So that's what I would say in terms of the extreme, the military, the war environment.
Yeah, got it. Valuable. Okay, let's talk about working hard. For example, when I read some uh, self-improvement books about entrepreneur's journey, many examples, most of them are working hard, but I can see another side of the story. When you work hard like 8 hours, after that you have no energy. Everything what you can do, just go home to watch TV, to waste like 6 hours, watching this TV. Can you tell how to replace bad habits, for example, like watching TV, with good habits that will help you lead you in the right direction? And yeah, to tell more about changing habits that you
Yeah.
use for many years.
Yeah. So we are a kind of before evaluation habit thinking, meaning we think about we'll just say we'll just use the running example, or getting healthy physically. Maybe whether you're walking, running, you're actually working out, or you're doing some kind of sport to be healthy. The hardest part to get started is we think about the before the habit begins, meaning it's going to be hard. It's going to, maybe it's going to hurt some. I'm gonna feel tired, but we're not actually thinking about and the way that we start to switch habits is we just have to change the way we're thinking about it in our mind needs to switch from before to the after, right?
Mhm.
The after is the effects and the consequences of it. Meaning, when I start eating healthy, I know that afterwards I'm going to feel better. I'm going to have more energy. Sort of like the difference between eating fast food. Before, you're just thinking, oh, I'm going to enjoy it in that moment. And afterwards, people try not to think about it, but you could be feeling pretty bad for hours after you eat a fast food meal because it's just not healthy food, and it doesn't actually bring you energy. Whereas when you eat a healthy meal, it actually brings you energy, but you don't think about that. You're just glad that you have energy afterward. And so switching the habits means you have to start thinking about what comes after the habit rather than what comes before the habit. And you slowly transition your thinking to the motivation behind it, and not the and not the hardship. Anybody that wants to accomplish a great work, they want to accomplish a win, people are thinking about the wins. They're not thinking about the difficulties of getting to it. When you're watching your favorite football team, and they're thinking about the score at the end. They're not thinking about when they're behind the scenes and they're doing the drills. They're thinking about, man, we want to win the season, right?
Mhm.
So that's how we need to replace even the smallest habits. The smallest habits, whether it's going home. So the difference would be going home and watching TV, right? So I watch TV, I watch movies as well. But there needs to be some boundaries around that and say, yeah, but where is the connection happening? And what we usually do is we're thinking about the before and not the after. So what happens before we watch TV? We're thinking, I'm tired. I just want to sit down and not think about anything. So I'm just going to plant myself on the couch and just watch. What comes after? Afterwards, there's not really anything. You don't really get energy by watching TV. You definitely don't necessarily feel more connected to your neighbor or your friends that you're close to. Maybe if you do something intentionally as a family when you're watching something, you can say that, but most often it's not, right? So when you think about, okay, well, tonight instead of watching TV, I know that right now I feel tired, but I'm going to set up, maybe a nice meal and something to do together as a family. Maybe it's a game, maybe it's a we each try and put on some comedy or imitation act. I don't know. And what comes
Mhm.
after that? What comes after that is emotional highs that we are looking for. We're feeling connected, we're feeling loved, we're feeling happy and joyful, and we're feeling fulfilled because we connected to those people that we most love as well. So
Mhm.
so in any habit, whether whether it's as superficial as just diet, or whether it's as deep as I know that I need to do a better job connecting with my kids, you have to start switching to what are the effects and what are the results and outcomes of the habit, and you have to think about them over and over and over again and always keep that in front of you. That's the
Mhm.
only way that we actually commit to habits, and once we're in them, then we've switched the habits. Then they're
Mhm.
self-regulating.
Yeah, love it. I want to share about my nephew. It's interesting when she's watching TV. I think, I have the feeling that she is not here. She is on this TV, with all this uh, people, yeah, because she can watch like this. you know and sometimes I wanna have the same focus, because when for example, if I need to do something very important, but I have many other thoughts. I need to complete this task, I need to come to my client, I need to buy food for my family, many other things. Can you tell how to get the same focus that my nephew has, when she's watching TV? Because she doesn't care about anything else on this world, about surrounding people, about any circumstances. She's on this TV. And I love this focus. I want to have it. But, for me, it's very hard because of many other things. Can you tell more about that?
Yes, yes. I mean, different people will have that. Not everybody will continue to be thinking about things over and over and over again. But some people have those strengths where they just think a lot about things, right? So the best way to do that is to make the thoughts in your head actually legitimate and practical and real. The way we do that is, and I coach people who are like that. You need a place to write them down, because what you have to do is you have to separate the thoughts from the abstract. Okay, the abstract meaning it's just rolling in your brain, and it's pretty much kind of a circulating reel, right? It just goes like this. And you know what people do when they, I don't know if you have that same thing, but you know what, when you say that person's like this, we say they're insane. but
Mhm.
but the thought continues to circulate, right? So that means what you need to do is everything you're thinking of, you need to get back and find either a journal or a notebook, and you write down everything. It doesn't matter the order at first. It's basically just a mental push from mind to paper. The reason is because often we think that the thoughts that are circulating over and over are bigger than what they really are. Not all of them, but some of them. But when you put them on paper, it has the power to put them in a different kind of perspective, because now you're seeing them, and then you're able to order them, and then you're able to actually do something with them, right? So it's the difference between saying, if my wife tells me to go grocery, this is an easy one. Okay, so my wife tells me to go pick up some food, right? Well,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go out and probably pick up a pizza, and maybe I'm gonna pick up some chips or something, and that's not what she wanted, right? She wanted me to pick up some bread, maybe some cheese, and maybe some fruit or something like that, right? But if she just says, "I need you to stop by the store and pick up some food," I'm going to be thinking, well, what did she want, right? What I wonder what she was, maybe she had a specific plan. And I'm going to start thinking about it over and over. But if she just
Mhm.
says, "Here, pick up these 5 things from the store," guess what? I don't actually have to think about it over and over. I just have it in my hand, a list. I can go to the store, pick it up, and I can leave. What was once maybe an hour or hour and a half trip becomes 20 or 30-minute trip, right? Because there's not as much thinking involved. And the same measure for larger things applies. If we put down the things that are circulating, we can start to find the ones that really are more important, that are deeper. Maybe I'm thinking about the safety of my child, right? But what was on top of those was, the sense of where am I going to get food, or what task I need to accomplish at work. Yet the task at work shouldn't carry the same weight or thought or strategy behind the am I keeping my children safe, right? So you
Mhm.
can start to see which ones have more emotional impact, which ones frankly are less on the priority list, and say, okay, this task at work doesn't even compare to what's more important to me. Even though the task felt really urgent, it doesn't matter. You can see, kind of, because we know what the priorities are in life, right? Family and health and things like that. So that's the first thing that we need to do, especially for those who are very much in their head, is they need to let their thoughts get out of their head, and that just becomes a practice. So you can examine them, and you can determine if a thought needs actual strategy behind it, or not. So oftentimes we'll have a thought, and it's a worry. We'll take a worry. Maybe um, I'm trying to think of a specific worry, right? So I'm worried. My son is almost old enough to start driving. So say
Mhm.
my son goes out, and I'm worried that, okay, maybe I'm hoping that he's, driving safe. Well, it can stay as a worry, or I can actually do something about it. Meaning, I can make sure that I have more conversations with my son. I can make sure I'm doing everything on my part to lessen the worry, and maybe even hear from my son himself how he feels like he's doing. So there are ways, but if I only just think about, I just hope that he doesn't get in a car crash, then there's no ability to lessen that worry at all. There's just the constant circulating of worry. But I can do something about it. And oftentimes we need to get those thoughts out so we can find out if there's anything that we can do, or we can have someone else in our family do to help us lessen the anxiety and worry as well. And that's often the hardship, is we're just worried about what comes next, and instead of seeing if there's any way to give us the steps that we need, that give us a more confidence, or just more peace of mind as well.
Yeah, got it. I think I have the same attitudes with my wife, when she asks me, no, please buy this item, this, like a huge list. And, I reply to her, please write the message with all
That's
these
right.
items. If you want to get them, then write. If you
That's
do,
right. That's right. If you want to
if
make
you
sure
want
you
them,
get everything that you want, just write it down. But we don't
yeah.
tell ourselves that. So if you want to see what thoughts you're having, just literally get out a notebook and start writing them down. And it doesn't have to be in order at first. It just, whatever
Mhm.
comes to mind first. And once we start practicing that, then we start getting to some deeper thoughts as well. Like, okay, I realize I'm really frustrated at work because of this issue, or, I've had this nagging sense of discomfort because I really feel like I should talk to my partner, my husband or my wife, or whatever, about this issue, and I don't want them to be mad at me. But there are ways, whether it's a task at work or a conversation with your partner, to put steps between the now, and I'm worried about it now, and leading to the outcome that we really want, which is, well, I still want this task done, or I want this conversation to happen so that we're closer, as
Mhm.
a couple, or I feel more accomplished at work, or whichever.
Mhm. I want to ask about patience. Let me tell why. Because I check out a few studies that most people give up in the early stage, even more. For example, 50% of all content creators don't record the second episode of podcast because they can't get results with the first one. For me, I have no idea how to get results with the first episode of podcast, video, article, anything. It takes time to practice, to learn, to test, to find what actually works for you. And can you tell how to find patience when you can't get results? And yeah, how to provoke this feeling that you are going in the right way, that results will come, you need to be patient. Yeah, tell more about that.
Well, there's two things I hear. There is patience, and there's also just the commitment level too, right?
Hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, when we're talking about whether it's a podcast, I assume that we're talking about a work thing that we're doing, right?
Yeah,
Something that we're trying to accomplish, right?
anything, yeah.
So, we'll take that work issue, and there's a great sense that, if I just do really hard work, I'm gonna win. You know,
Hmm.
um, and and there's this sense that if I can do that, I can make sure that I do it quickly. But it's just, in my opinion, it's just a myth. we have to know that the patience comes from the small things that matter each time, and the result that we're truly looking for. Now, there is a difference between work that we are feeling is meaningful and is still meeting the needs that we have, that is accomplishing, what we're looking for, and just uh, and comparing ourselves to others. So, we have to make sure we write those down too. Like, what are the things that we really are wanting? So patience comes from holding that up and seeing, first of all, do I have, again, the outcome? Is it written down? Have I been very clear about the outcome and my why behind it? Because the why is going to be really important to patients. Why is the difference between a person who wants to, I'm going to use the health one again. Why
Mhm.
is the difference in a person who wants to just look more pretty because they've lost 10 pounds? That's not a sustainable why. A much more powerful why is if we're doing it for someone else. So if there is a mom or a dad that wants to lose the 10 or 20 pounds because they want to have the energy to be able to spend time with their 3-year-old, right? And they're saying, I'm doing this because I need to be healthy. Or maybe one day when I have grandkids, I want to be healthy enough to move around with them, right? That is a much more powerful why than, well, I just want to look better. Because when you're doing it for someone else, it's much easier to sacrifice the time and the space and some of the decisions that need to be made versus for yourself, because we are notorious about moving the goalpost. The goalpost is, well, it's me, so I've decided to make it next month that I'll do this. And you see people doing that all the time. Next month I'll do this. But if you do it for a why, the why for someone else, that also helps build the patience too. The patience also comes from setting patience is like it's like a muscle. So you have to understand which pieces are takes less patience and build it up to really good, like really healthy patience. So patience would be um, when you've set out to learn a task that you don't think will take that long. So say you want to be able to, I'm trying to think of something that wouldn't take too. So you want to cook a meal, okay? And maybe your wife is good at cooking and she teaches you over the course of 3 or 4 meals some basics, right? And you can make that meal, right? So patience is, I've committed to learning over those 4 times, learning how to cook that meal, right? Now, if you want to learn how to play the piano, right, that's much farther task. You have to be committed for a year or two to be able to play well enough where you're like, I'm happy with the way it sounds. So
Mhm.
each of our patience levels needs to be seen in the level of task that's coming next. So, you're running the podcast would be, well, the first thing I need to learn is okay, maybe you're really good at tech already. So I just need to learn, what the platform looks like, what the technology is. It doesn't take that long, maybe a month, and I can learn it, right? The next one is, okay, well, now I need the patience to learn how to set topics, or if that's how you do some of your topics. So strategic formulation of what each podcast is going to look like. That also takes patience, but maybe a greater amount of patience because it's a longer thing, meaning it's over years. And then the next one might be, well, now I need to figure out how to train myself to interview someone. How long does that take? But each one of those, what does it take? It takes not just commitment to learn, but it takes a commitment to hear the feedback and the evaluation too, which is where we also don't put our commitment level. We just want to work hard and win. We don't like the idea that we've got to put ourselves into something and each step we need to turn around and evaluate where mentally we've held ourselves back, where mentally we felt like we weren't good enough at it, and say, okay, I will get better at this, and that goes with patience and commitment. We need both to be able to say, and a sense of why, because let's face it, people can easily get offended or insecure or hurt, if they look back and say, well, I wasn't doing it to the best of its possibility or the best of my ability, right?
Mhm. Yeah, love it, love it. I think for me, it's much better if no. I often see when people they can't understand like haters or some critics, anything else. I think the best thing is to not to judge themselves, because when you start anything you can't be good, even for example if you film videos, I usually recommend to all content creators to film 100 bad videos, very bad videos, because
Yeah, that's
most
right. That's right.
yeah, most content creators
And
usually.
it works, doesn't it? Hey, just do 100 videos and don't even worry about it. Just look at them,
Yeah,
evaluate them, and don't try and pretend that they're going to be that 100 videos is going to make you successful, right?
yeah,
That's the learning phase, right?
of course,
But
yeah,
but
it's experience.
but you need people who you know and you trust to say, look at these 10 videos and tell me some things that, are little things that I can do to just make it 1% better,
Hmm.
and don't and you need to be careful. You don't want them to list 100 things and you'll feel like you're overwhelmed. Just say, give me two or three things. You may notice
Hmm.
more, but give me the two or three things that you notice the most. And
Hmm.
whatever else you had, don't worry about it, because you will ask other people and say, you give me two or three things, and the it's easier to handle the feedback is what you're wanting, just like any coach or any person who's training you, whether it's in a sport or a technical skill or whatever. You're trying to learn, so it means that you, instead of looking at the haters, you actually find the people that you trust and say, look, I am looking for feedback because I do this video for an hour and I just want to know two or three things that you see. Is it in the middle? Is it at the ending? Hey, sharpen up the ending. Is it in the beginning? And that's how you work at getting better. You can't completely ignore the need for yourself to continually get better, but you also, in my opinion, should not be immersing yourself in the toxic wasteland, which is the haters and the criticisms. I mean, in my
Yeah.
opinion, that is a waste of energy. The energy will come from the people who's closest to you that are actually cheering you on. So if you say,
Hmm.
I'm doing, you know, or I might say, hey, help my buddy Anatoly to get, to keep pushing his podcast forward. What's two or three things that you can say to him, and you'll much receive it, because they're saying, hey, I want Anatoly to win, right? I want Anatoly to get, to make it big time. And you will say,
Hmm.
thank you, man. This will help me get to where I'm going. And the energy level actually goes up, instead of someone who you don't trust, who you feel, well, I just want you to fail, right? Energy goes down. And
Hmm.
so that's the difference as well, is what you're focusing on too, and who you're focusing on it with.
Yeah, nice insights. Yeah, agree with that. And for me, I'm trying to avoid negative feedback.
Yeah.
Even if they are right, they are right. Okay, you are right. I'm not good enough for you, but I can be good enough for someone else. So why I need to know
Yeah.
that someone doesn't like me? It's your choice. Don't listen to me. Find someone else. And I think it's the best thing just to be yourself. And if you film 100 videos,
Yeah.
you can improve results, and after that even some haters will watch your content and learn from you, because you can get experience that it's much better than
Yeah.
any learning, any
It's
skills
true.
and knowledge.
Experience will take you far. But at some
Hmm.
point, what we tell people in our business is you want to pursue the greatest version of yourself, though, too. So
Hmm.
if you think that, you know what, I'm doing well in this and I enjoy it and I can probably keep getting better too. Maybe not for everybody. We know that. But there are some things that I can sharpen that I will feel good about too. And that continues to help you be the greatest version of yourself. But who's going to do that are the people that believe in the dream of us, the podcast that you're doing, of which topic or whatever you might be doing next. And those are the people that you want to be open to, because it's a safer dialogue, and it's frankly the belief remains the same. In fact, we
Hmm.
need those people to help believe in our dream too. We accomplish our dreams and frankly the greatest version of ourselves when it's done with other people. You know, the
Hmm.
other people that we are connected to in relationship with. Not people that we don't know.
Yeah, totally. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, it's a big pleasure to get again you on my show, to learn from you. You always share value as usual. I love it. Tell our audience how they can reach out to you, learn more about you, follow you.
Yeah. Yeah. So our website is www.dreamleaderinstitute.com. My email is just nathan@dreamleaderinstitute.com. Those are the easiest ways to reach out to us. We do want people to, our passion is to really help people become the greatest version of themselves, to help pursue their dreams, and to give them those steps and the motivation to get there as well. So thank you for inviting me back. It's a pleasure to be on with you again.
Yeah, welcome back anytime. You always share some valuable insights. I think, guys, you need to follow Nathan, to reach out to him, to ask about how to be much better version of yourself. But and wherein you need to be yourself, you can just improve your results, but to be yourself. Okay, guys, you can find all these links in the description below. Listen us on Apple, Google, Spotify, and see you next time.